Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You turn on the news. The map of Europe looks wrong. There is no European Union, no NATO, no United States as we know it. Instead, a black, red, white banner flutters over Paris. London speaks German as a second official language. And across the Atlantic, America watches the Old World not as a partner, but as a rival civilization that once nearly crushed it. This is not a story about what could have happened on a battlefield. This is a story about how everyday life might look today. Your freedom, your culture, your technology, your identity. If Nazi Germany had won World War II, this is the world that almost was. To imagine this world, we must first understand where history bends. Germany doesn't win World War II by miracle. It wins by timing, coordination, and one critical mistake avoided. In this timeline, Operation Barbarossa launches 6 weeks earlier. The Wehrmacht captures Moscow before winter. Japan coordinates its strike with Germany, forcing the Soviets into a two-front collapse. The United States delays full entry into the war. Britain, isolated and starving, signs a conditional armistice in 1942. The Soviet Union fractures. Stalin disappears, executed or fleeing east. By 1944, continental Europe belongs to Berlin. By 1946, Germany detonates its own atomic weapon. Not first, but early enough. The war doesn't end in surrender ceremonies. It ends in exhaustion and fear. And the world reorganizes itself around a single fact: Germany won. Let's begin in Europe, a continent without nations. There is no France, no Poland, no Czech Republic. There is Großgermanisches Reich Europe, a vast imperial federation ruled from Berlin. Borders exist, but only administratively. Local languages survive, but German dominates government, education, and science. Children in Amsterdam learn Goethe before Shakespeare. Rome teaches engineering from German textbooks. Paris, still beautiful, feels curated. Because Europe is peaceful now. Too peaceful. Daily life, order over freedom. Life in Reich Europe is efficient. Trains arrive exactly on time. Cities are spotless. Crime is low, but surveillance is everywhere. Every citizen carries a Reich ID, tied to employment, housing, and movement. Modern art is conservative. Music is orchestral, electronic, or patriotic. Cinema glorifies unity, sacrifice, and destiny. There is no punk rock, no protest art, no counterculture, because rebellion never becomes fashionable when it never survives. Here's the uncomfortable truth. This world is technologically advanced. Germany won the war and then poured resources into science. Hypersonic aircraft, advanced nuclear energy, early space stations, AI focused on logistics and population management. The Reich never abandoned its obsession with engineering, but innovation serves the state, not the individual. Now we confront the darkest reality. The Holocaust does not stop. It doesn't accelerate into gas chambers forever, but it evolves. By the 1960s, mass extermination gives way to forced sterilization, genetic segregation, population displacement beyond the Urals, and permanent underclasses. Europe becomes a racial caste system. At the top, ethnic Germans and approved Northern Europeans, and at the bottom, those erased from records entirely. History books simply say they were relocated. No graves, no names, just silence. Britain survives, but it never recovers its pride. After signing peace, it becomes a neutral client state. The monarchy remains, parliament exists, but foreign policy aligns with Berlin. London becomes a financial hub for Reich Europe, rich, polite, and deeply ashamed. Now we cross the Atlantic. The United States never becomes a superpower. Without total victory in World War II, the U.S. military-industrial complex never explodes. The Cold War never exists as we know it. NATO is never formed. America remains powerful, but provincial. By tomorrow's date, the United States is technologically competitive, militarily cautious, politically divided. Because for 80 years, America has lived with a single anxiety. What if Germany decides to finish the war? A Cold War that feels colder. But it's not capitalism versus communism. It's liberal democracy versus authoritarian order. American media portrays Europe as cold, efficient, inhuman. German broadcasts depict America as chaotic, decadent, unstable. Trade exists, diplomacy exists, trust does not. American culture changes. Without a World War II victory, civil rights progress slows. Women enter the workforce more gradually. The myth of American moral authority never forms. Hollywood exists, but it lacks global dominance. There is no Marvel Cinematic Universe, no cultural export empire. America becomes one voice among many, not the loudest one. Freedom movements are crushed not by old empires, but by modernized authoritarianism. Here's the hardest part to understand. Most people are not miserable. They have jobs, families, entertainment, safety, but they do not have choice. They don't ask, should things change? They ask, how do I fit? Because in a world where Germany won World War II, history teaches one lesson above all else. Stability is more important than justice. And once a society accepts that, it never quite remembers what freedom felt like. Our world is flawed. Democracy is loud, messy, painfully slow. But this alternate 2026 reminds us of something critical. History isn't shaped only by who wins wars, but by what values survive afterward. The real victory of World War II was not territory. It was the idea that no empire should decide the future of humanity alone. And that idea, fragile, imperfect, unfinished, is still worth defending. If you enjoyed this deep dive into alternate history, subscribe to the channel for more cinematic documentaries like this one, because the past isn't just what happened, it's a warning about what still could. History doesn't repeat, but it always watches.